So, instant reaction to the Wales team that has come out in the last couple of hours. Some positive changes, in my opinion, but also some of the same issues that we had in the France game. So, let's get into the team and go through what we think and see who's come in and who's out. My name's Christian, and this is the Welsh Sports Channel. So, let's not mess around, get straight into the team and discuss what we think might happen on Saturday. So we've got Gareth Thomas, Evan Lloyd and Henry Thomas, same front row that started. Also, he's sticking with Will Rowlands and Dav Jenkins in the second row. And then the back row is James Botham, Jack Morgan and the return of Toby Faletau. Then in the back line, we have Thomas Williams, Ben Thomas remains at 10. Into 12, in place of Owen Watkin, comes Eddie James, which is a positive. Nick Tompkins continues at 13. And then the back three all keep their place. Tom Rogers, Josh Adams and Liam Williams. And then on the subs bench, we got Elliot D, Nicky Smith, Kieran Azarati, Freddie Thomas, Aaron Wainwright, Rodri Williams, Dan Edwards and Blair Murray. So similar bench to the weekend just gone. So I guess obviously the main first touching point is Toby Faletau is returning. Hasn't played since the Georgia game in the World Cup, which is obviously ages ago. He played one game for Cardiff after like 6 months and then got injured straight away, unfortunately. Played a couple of games a few months ago for Cardiff, so he has been back playing, but hasn't played international rugby for a long time. A lot of people saying that he's shot and it's time to let him go, but even in the couple of games he played this season for Cardiff, although it wasn't a big sample size, he looked pretty good. I mean, not imperious like he was before, but he looked pretty good. So hopefully that experience coming back is a real positive, gives us some extra go forward and is a bit of a leader. Although he's a quiet man, leads by example on the pitch, and I think that's a real net positive. Evan Lloyd keeps his spot, which I think is deserved. He played pretty well, obviously picked up that yellow card against France, but I think his performance was good enough, set piece was good, and I think that front three deserves to all keep its spot. Maybe you could have made a argument that Rowlands might have been dropped and maybe Freddie Thomas come in or Teddy Williams onto the bench or something, but he's stuck with Rowlands. I guess his experience is there, but I think if we don't see much of a performance from Will Rowlands in this next game or two, I think he could be ousted pretty soon, because there is a lot of young second rows that are performing and are probably deserved of that spot. Then the back line, very similar to the France game, except Eddie James comes in for his first full start for Wales, so that is exciting. Possibly a chance to have another player to give us some real go forward ball. He's about 6'3", 6'4", he's a big guy, still only 22, so still a lot to learn, not a lot of experience, but he's possibly the future in that position. I know a lot of people have been calling for him for about 6 months plus. So good to see him actually getting an opportunity and seeing if he actually makes a real impact to this Wales squad. And again, gives us that go forward and that gain line that we've really been struggling with. Gatland, though, continues to put square pegs in round holes, with Ben Thomas playing 10 and Nick Tompkins at 13. I thought Thomas looked way better when he went to 12 last week, and Nick Tompkins, although the effort is always there, never in doubt, there was a couple of times he looked a little bit exposed out in the centre in the 13 channel. If he was playing 12, I'd feel a bit more comfortable, but then you'd have to sacrifice Eddie James and bring in Joe Roberts. I think this could have potentially been an opportunity to give Roberts a run out at 13, given the fact that him and James have played a bit together at the Scarlets and obviously train a lot together, so they would be familiar, but then you're obviously losing the experience and the caps that Nick Tompkins brings to the team, so it's a tough one really. The bench then, Wainwright, who was expected to potentially be injured and out for this game, is actually fit, so that is a good thing. He's going to be able to bring some impact off the bench. And again, a lot more experience, over 50 caps coming off the bench. You've got Elliot D, Nicky Smith. There's a bit of experience coming off that bench, particularly in the pack. In the back line, not so much with Dan Edwards and Blair Murray. But Rodri Williams is a experienced campaigner, although he hasn't had a lot of international experience, an experienced player coming off the bench. So I wonder what will happen if we'll see Dan Edwards come in at 10 and Ben Thomas move to the centre, or what he's going to do there. How much time are we going to see with Dan Edwards on the pitch? Obviously, he wouldn't have expected to come in so early last week due to Owen Watkins' injury. He got a lot more time, but it was strange because it seemed like it was still Ben Thomas calling the shots from 12, so not really sure what that was about. Obviously, there's a huge amount of pressure on the coaches and the players now. This has been, said that this is a must-win, and this is one of the most important games in recent history. I think Dan Biggar said it's the most important game for Welsh rugby in like 15 years, which is quite hyperbolic, but you can understand what he's saying. A lot of criticism has come at Rob Howley in particular for the lack of attacking ability and ability to break down anything in the France game. Hopefully we can see some improvements now that they have spent obviously a week longer together in Nice. I think it was Alex Cuthbert was saying before the France game on Scrum 5 that this team would have only had about 5 or 6 training sessions together due to the amount of players that play in England and stuff like that. And there is obviously a lot of those in this team. So the fact that they were all away in camp together and they all had an extra week to really go through the processes, really hammer the stuff in and get that good training in together as a team, we could see an improvement. I think we will see an improvement. It's almost impossible to not improve, at least attacking wise, from that France game. There was moments where the defence was pretty solid, but just France's individual players had too much and eventually broke us down. Italy clearly have some really impressive players. The wide players, the backline in general is pretty damaging. They got some big, strong ball carriers, and this set piece is also pretty good. I think the scrum obviously held up really well last week. The lineup was okay. So as long as we can get parity up front, hopefully we can actually manage to cause them some issues. It's a tough one. I'm going to back Wales, even though we probably will go into this as underdogs. I think that may suit us a little bit. Italy haven't had a lot of the favourites tag on them, so that given the fact that last time we went to Rome and we were underdogs, we won fairly comfortably. Granted, that was a different team than what we got now, but there is some positives. If Faletau can come in and really have an impact and Eddie James can show some of the promise that we're hoping from him, then it could be a good game, and who knows, Wales might sneak a win. I know a lot of people have said they want to see Wales lose because it means Gatland will get sacked. I don't follow that sentiment, and you should really never want your team to lose, although I don't think this coaching team deserves to continue after the Six Nations. Maybe, realistically, I'd like to see them beat Italy just for the players to get that feeling of winning, get this monkey off the back and release all that pressure that they've been feeling, and then a change of coach at the end of the Six Nations. But that's just wishful thinking. But yeah, that's all from me. Enjoy the game, and I'll catch you in the review. Thank you very much.